Hi everyone, I'm Valerie Trujillo and you're listening to Love and Light with the Crystal Blue Oracle, Healing as a Tribe, and taking responsibility for it on the Transformation Radio Network. Stay with me for this next hour. It's really going to be cool. We're going to talk about the moon, the phases of the moon, specifically about the full moon and the new moon, and the ceremonies I do, and how far I've come since I started doing them. So just so we can get into understanding a little bit more, we want to talk about the phases. The phases of the moon are, how would you say, there's 8 of them. And we have the Earth, and we have the moon, and we have the sun. But it's actually sun, moon, Earth. And the moon goes around the Earth. It orbits around the Earth. So it takes about 29.5 days, and there are 8 phases. When the sun and the moon and the Earth are aligned, all in one line, that's when we have the new moon, because the sun is on this side, the Earth is on this side. So the sun is facing the opposite side. So this side we're seeing is dark. So after that first new moon, you have a couple days that go by. And the moon is going east, and it's moved a little bit. And what the moon also has is, it's called a terminator line. And it's the line that separates the day from the night. Well, after a few days, this moon goes towards the east. That terminator line is curved. So it looks like it's curved, but it's just actually that the sun is hitting that part, and that's the only part that we can see. That's part of the crescent moon, an illuminated thin crescent moon. So a few days after that, we have what is called the waxing crescent moon. It takes a couple extra days, and it's just getting thicker and thicker as the days go by. When you have this waxing crescent moon, it's the time for you to nurture your ideas. You want to have a few more days. Well, literally it's 7 days. And after 7 days, you're at your first quarter moon. And it's literally 1/4 of the way. The moon is 1/4 of the way around the Earth, around its orbit. So the line, that night-day terminator line, cuts right down the middle of that visible face of the moon, and it looks like a quarter moon. It's 90 degrees away, so we do that. After that, the moon is getting more lit, so we call that gibbous, waning gibbous, or not waning, waxing gibbous, I think. Yeah, it's gibbous. And it means swollen. So it's waxing gibbous of the moon. And this would be the time to take your creative ideas and start refining your plans. 2 weeks after that is the new moon. Or excuse me, 2 weeks after the new moon has moved halfway through its orbit. It's now opposite the sun, and it's about 180 degrees around the Earth between the moon and the sun. So we look at a fully illuminated moon on our side, and that's called the full moon. A few days later, The moon continues to move around its orbit, and the distance between it and the sun is now starting to decrease. So we're going to go through all the phases in reverse again. A few days after the full moon, the lit side starts to shrink. We call this the waning gibbous phase. And this is time to express your gratitude and start going with the flow. About 3 weeks from the new moon and a week after the full moon, the moon is lit once more. That terminator line is right down the middle again, but this time it's opposite lit. So when we had the first quarter moon, this side was lit, and we saw, and this side was dark. Now with the 3/4 moon, this side is lit, and this side is dark, and it's about 270 degrees around the sky from the sun. Then a few days later, the moon is in crescent again, getting thinner, back to the new moon. And it's called a waning crescent when it's going that way. That's a time to celebrate completion and rest, and then we go through it all again with the new moon. So we have all of those things happening for us. Those phases, I didn't realize how important they were. Especially the full and the new moon. I knew they were really important. I found that out this last year, but I didn't know how connected to the moon we were. A lot of people think because we do rituals with the moon that it has something to do with Satan or the devil or negativity, and it doesn't. There is scientific fact that the moon connects to the seasons. It brings in the seasons of the earth, spring, winter, fall, summer. It's also connected to the tides, the rising and the falling of the tides. It was believed that the moon was connected to women's menstrual cycles, but recently they said scientifically it really isn't. One other thing that the moon cycle is connected to is animals and their mating through the moon. Every 29.5 days, it cycles and triggers them to call on mates. So the moon itself is connected to us in huge ways. And me as a healer, I didn't know that I needed to do all these things. But we're going to talk more about that, about what my guides had me prompted to do, how I needed to do them. We're going to take a quick break, and then, we're skipping the break because I had a late start, sorry. So I'm going to continue. My guides told me when I first did oracle cards, part of my advanced class was doing my own cards and asking questions to spirit to validate things. And they told me that I was a healer and I needed to heal. So I started doing that. I started looking up ways, how do I heal? And Spirit said, try YouTube. And I'm like, okay, I'll try YouTube. And there's a lot of different people on YouTube. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody at all. Everybody has a different way of doing the rituals. Everybody has a different way of manifesting and releasing and exploring their rituals and their healing through the moon. I chose one that was right for me. So I ultimately thought that I was going to heal everything all in one shot and be done with it. And Spirit's like, no, that's not going to happen. And I'm like, well, why not? He says, well, because everything that you've created or has happened in your life happened one of those situations at a time. You have to release them one at a time. You're like an onion. Peel one layer off at a time. So at first I was a little disappointed, but I understood. And it's also connected to karma. Healing, not just our traumas and pain and the things that have happened to us, but we're also healing for lifetimes, for our ancestors. We're also healing for our descendants, the people we bring into the world and the people they bring into the world. So we can't just do it all at once. It wouldn't work that way. We'd destroy ourselves. So in doing this, I found the right person to do the healings with. And I started doing the ceremonies that were right for me. I thought about the trauma in my life, the things that I've experienced. And I've been doing this for this is the 16th month, manifesting and clearing, healing. And it's taken a lot. It's taken a lot of action on my part. It's taken a lot of trust in spirit. It's taken a lot of loving myself, forgiving myself. Because we ultimately don't realize how much we allowed, how much we took for granted that things were a certain way. And instead of trusting when our bodies tell us, no, this is not right for you. This is not what you're doing. This is not good. Instead of listening to that little voice, we just kept doing what we were doing and created that trauma. Sometimes we do it because we don't have support. Sometimes we do it because we don't want to take responsibility. A lot of people say, well, I'm just that way, or that's how I was brought up, or they treated me like this, that's why I am the way that I am. That's not necessarily the truth. Things happen to us throughout our entire lifetime, from when we're born to where you're at now, no matter how old you are. Things happen to you. Again, they don't define you. And people have to understand that when you heal with the full moon, it's about intention. It's not about calling on Satan or demons or anything. It has nothing to do with that. It has so much more to do with the energy, with our emotions, with the moon, and the magic of how we transform when we intend to really truly heal. People don't deal with their emotions. It's like Spirit told me, you have emotions to heal. And I'm like, well, I thought I dealt with them. And they're telling me, no, you stuffed them in your pocket. They're still there. And I'm like, oh. Because a lot of times in our lives, when we go through traumatic things, painful things, hurtful things, we still have families to take care of. We still have lives to live. We still have jobs to go to. So we have to push that emotion down instead of deal with it. And then you get to where you're so used to pushing everything down, you don't deal with it, but you get triggered, like in the last show. It's important that we know that when we release, and we release with this intention, we're not releasing it so we can keep it still and use it as an excuse. We're releasing it so we completely can let it go. So we can create that life we want to live, that life with peace and abundance. And we can't do that if we're focused on that negativity. And some people are probably saying, well, that so-and-so was just mean and did this to me and did that to me. That's okay. I mean, it's not okay what they did. What's okay is that you recognize the situation that happened and you let it go, because it doesn't serve you anymore. It's taking up space in your heart and in your soul that you could be using for more positive things, to create the things you want in your life. And you're using it to hold you back. And a lot of people don't realize that. We're holding ourselves back from the trauma and the pain of the past. And a lot of times, too, it's about, like in Ho'oponopono, we don't forgive ourselves. When we do healing, even with the full moon, we want to heal ourselves. We want to forgive ourselves and let those things go, so we can be better, so we can do better. And a little disclaimer here. When you're healing and raising your vibration, your life is going to change. When you're in the lower vibration emotions, depression, sadness, guilt, shame, greed, jealousy, and you're living in that trauma, you have those addictions, those habits that are counteractive to your best life. And then you go and you do full moon ceremonies to release them, to heal. You're raising your vibration. You're living with more gratitude and being happy because you've released those things that don't serve you. And as you do this, your relationships ultimately change. Those people that are still low vibration, lower than what you are, they will be not wanting to be around you. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because you're changing and they're not. So those lower vibrational people, step away out of your life. Those situations are out of your life. You could have, like the tarot readers say, a tower moment, where something ultimately happens and changes. And at first you think it's a negative thing, but it's not. What it is spirits taking away those lower vibrational things that are not for your highest good and moving you in the direction to get your happiest life. A lot of people don't understand that part. We tend to think way too small. And we tend to think, oh, but I need them in my life, I need that in my life, and that person could be totally toxic. And you know it, but you think you can change them. Can't do it. You can't change a toxic person that doesn't want to change. My brother-in-law used to tell me all the time, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And isn't that the truth? You can't make addicts go get help. You can't make a narcissist look at himself or herself. You can't make an abuser stop abusing unless they want to stop abusing, unless they want to get the help. So as you change your vibration, yes, those lower vibrational people are going to step away. Those situations are going to fall away. But what you're left with is the attraction to higher vibrational beings. Remember, like attracts like. So when you are raising your vibration and you're happier and you're full of gratitude for the things that you have, it doesn't matter how little it is. Be thankful for it. The little things. So let's say you're driving still a beat up Pinto in 2020. Be thankful if it runs and it gets you where you're going. There's a lot of people that don't have that. people that are in wheelchairs that smile every single day, and they don't take this life for granted. Remind yourself that you have something that a lot of people don't have, especially in this time. You have friends, you have family. Some of you might not have jobs, but Spirit's going to help provide you with where to get the food and connect you with who to get it, with your resources. And the thing is, though, you do have to take action. You have to look. But still, there's so much more to be grateful for. Yeah, maybe you have 10 people living in one apartment. At least you have a roof over your head and you're together. A lot of people don't understand, especially now with COVID, how to be grateful for what you have and not put yourself in harm's way. A lot of people are going by the emotion of they're in their apartment or in their home and they can't get out. If you look at it in the way that you're where you are because you're staying safe for yourself and your family, and that you're protected as long as you keep your vibration high and you take the common sense precautions, then you're going to be fine. The biggest example I have for people changing during the full moon and new moon ceremonies is me. And I will talk about that more, but just a blurb now. My intention was never to be doing a podcast. My intention was never to be a healer or an oracle card reader. I never, in 2017, didn't think anything about that. I took an oracle card course online because it kept poking at me. And I know that was Spirit now, my guides. But it changes. It changes if you want it to change. If you're willing to put in the effort to see with the rose-colored glasses off. Not what you want to see, but what's really there. So you can face it head on. And some of you might say, oh, I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. What if I fall apart? You will fall apart. You're going to shatter all your illusions. But then you're going to be living in truth again and living your happiest life. So you will get through it. And I'm a living example of that. I got through it. It wasn't easy. It was very emotional. But it was cleansing. It was healing. So it, for me, was completely worth it. You're with Valerie, Crystal Blue Oracle. Love and Light with Crystal Blue Oracle is my show, and we're healing as a tribe and taking responsibility for it. And we're on the Transformation Talk Network. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk about the full moon and new moon ceremonies, and again, how I get through them. Just stay in for the next part of the show. You're going to learn some stuff. Hi, we're back with Love and Light with Crystal Blue Oracle, healing as a tribe, and taking responsibility for it on the Transformation Talk Radio. And today we're talking about the full moon and the new moon ceremonies and why I do them. And in the first segment, I talked about a little bit about why I started doing them. But before we continue, I just wanted to make sure that you're able to contact me You can email me at crystalblueoracle@yahoo.com, or you can go to my website, crystalblueoracle.com. If you have any ideas for the show, things you want to hear about, things that are of interest to you in your healing, in your experience, shoot me an email. I'm not going to make any guarantees, but I guarantee I will look at it and I'll discuss it with you. So now we're going to talk about the ceremonies, but the full moon, we need to understand that we're all connected to everything around us, and everything is divinely created, and that's including the moon. Everything bad that happens to us, the trauma we experience, any pain, it all comes with a lesson. It's all up to us to breathe, to learn, to accept that lesson, to forgive whoever and whatever was involved, and release and move so that we can create the life that we want to live, the best life. I know a lot of people are saying to themselves, that couldn't have been a lesson. What did you learn from the situation? What did you learn about the people connected with the situation? We have to think about those things during the full moon, because the moon doesn't give us any other choice. It's a good time to wrap up anything that you haven't finished, any projects from the previous full moons or any other moon. You want to try not to leave anything hanging. The reason is because the full moon, when it illuminates to its full beautiful capacity, it shows us what has and what hasn't worked for us. So this is the best time for you to reflect on the past 29, 30 days and to think about what you want to cleanse out of your life. You will literally burn away and make space for all the miracles that you want in your life. I look at it as a fishbowl. The fishbowl is the moon. And when we're at new moon, that fishbowl has a little bit of water on the bottom. And as the moon gets fuller, that fishbowl gets full of water until on the full moon, it's up to its rim. This is why it's a good time to release, to cleanse and be grateful. And then soon after, manifest. All of our emotions literally build up to the full moon. Look at all those people during the full moon that are erratic, negative, angry. I mean, I used to know when it was, well, I still know when it's full moon all the time, because people get crazy. You got to remember, this full moon is in essence your spiritual bank. If it's filled with negative emotions, with trauma, with all of that stuff in it, and we don't release it, how are we going to manifest if there's no room to put anything in? You have to work at it. Miracles require maintenance. Our spiritual banks, our emotional spiritual banks, literally require maintenance and action from us. If we don't do that, we can't completely manifest. Think of it this way. Again, you can't manifest if your bank is full of negative stuff. There's no room to put your manifestations in, your high vibrational manifestations. You haven't healed anything. You haven't cleared anything. So for those people who think that, hey, I'm just going to do the manifesting ceremonies and I'll be good. It isn't going to happen. You could be going 3, 6, 8 months down the line and be saying, this isn't real. This isn't true. I haven't manifested anything. I'm still asking for the same stuff from the beginning. Well, look at it. Have you really released? Have you really done the full moon ceremony? Because if you're not doing both, you're not going to get what you want. You're not going to be able to burn away and cleanse those things that don't serve you and make room for the things that you want. So it's important to release those negative emotions. When you don't release those negative emotions, you're going to be triggered all the time. Because like I said, at the full moon, your emotions are at the rim. You're going to know those people too, because they're the ones that are negative all the time, constantly complaining about everything and anything all the time. Oh no, it's not my fault. Oh no. And not looking at themselves. But they're attracting all kinds of negative stuff. Because remember, I told you like attracts like. But remember, those situations with those people and those places and those things, they happened to you. They don't define you. I will keep saying that till the end of time. Things happen to us. They don't define us. That's why I say too, failure is not a failure. When you don't get something you want, it's because you're learning a lesson. You're learning what not to do so you get it right the next time. Because we all have to learn. Nobody goes into this life with the book of instructions of how to do everything all the time perfect. And if you look back, there's people in our history that had to fail to become successful now. So remember, you are at the perfect time to where releasing this stuff is you changing your story. We grew up with our parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, all of these older people telling us what to do. And we trusted them because we didn't have a choice. We were little and we were growing. They were taught something and they were taught something and they were taught something. And then they taught us. But that story is not always right for us now. Perfect example. Mom was making a pot roast and her daughter comes in the kitchen and says, "What you doing?" And the mom's like, "I'm going to make a pot roast." She's putting it in the pan and she cuts off 2 inches off one end. And the daughter's like, curious, why did you do that? And she says, "Well, Grandma used to do it." "Do you know why Grandma used to do it?" She goes, "No." She goes, "Can we find out?" And the mom says, "Sure." So they called Grandma. "Grandma, why do you do this?" "Why do I do what?" "Well, when you make the pot roast, you cut off one end, about 2 inches off." And the mom says, "Because I saw you doing this, I've been doing this all my life." And her mom starts laughing. She goes, "What's so funny?" She goes, "Oh, honey, I did that because the pot roast was too big to fit in the pan. I had to cut a little piece off." So you see, somebody put their story on you or on this woman. She carried it with her all her life, not knowing what this story meant. And then you find out that this story was someone else's story and not yours. You have that ability to change it. You don't have to keep saying that story that was given to you. So really, why are you still telling that story? Why are you still living in those emotions and traumas if you have the ability to get out of them? I know misery loves company, but misery does not live in this house. This is the optimal time for you to change your story and tell people the same thing. Create your story. make this your story, how you want it to be. Because if you don't, no one else is. You are responsible for your own healing. You're listening right now to Love and Light with Crystal Blue Oracle. Healing as a tribe and taking responsibility for it on the Transformation Radio Network. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll explore more about the new moon ceremonies and why I do them. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Hi, we're back with Love and Light with Crystal Blue Oracle, and I'm Valerie. And we're healing as a tribe and taking responsibility for it. If you ever want to reach me, you can reach me at crystalblueoracle.com, or crystalblueoracle@yahoo.com is my email. So if you have any ideas, want to know more information about a topic, send me an email and I will look at it. Now, what we're going to talk about is the actual new moon ceremony, or actually the full moon. I'm sorry, the full moon ceremony, where I tell you about what I do. I have a huge collection of crystals. I have an affinity with the crystal kingdom. So I have crystals everywhere and altars everywhere in my home. So the thing is, if you like crystals like I do, go ahead and get some. You also want to have some Palo Santo or some sage and some sweetgrass or copal. Any incense will do. A white candle. Some music that puts you in the mood. Loose leaf notebook paper. Doesn't have to be loose leaf. You can take it from a notebook, but we're going to end up burning this. A metal pan, matches, and or a barbecue lighter. So what I do is I write the date of the full moon and what zodiac that it's in. It's just for my reference, because I like to know how the signs are connected with the moon. And then for full moon, I start writing, I release. You need to start every sentence with I release. Not I intend to, like I feel like I'm gonna, I want to, I'm going to. No, I release. And you need to be as specific as possible. I release this painful situation with this person. I release the jealousy I felt with this person. I release shame for believing something that wasn't true, because I knew it wasn't true and I still did it anyway, thinking I could change somebody. You just have to be intentional. I literally had to, I asked Spirit, I don't know exactly what situation with this particular person. I had many situations with this person. They said, just start writing. So I started writing, and I started writing kind of my story with this person. And then a certain situation came out. So that's what I was releasing. That was my layer of the onion to peel. So it took me about 5 or 6 pages that very first time I did a releasing, because it was important to me to be as specific as possible, because I didn't want this surfacing again like a zit. You know, your zit pops and then you're good, and next month here it comes again, same spot. I didn't want that. So I literally wrote down these 6 pages. It's about 6 pages. And then I read them back to myself, what I wanted to release and why. And I remember, I told you have to have the intention. So now I go to burn it. And I'm burning my pages. One thing you need to know is if you have not truly let go of it and you're holding on to anger, you don't want to do this. You're not ready. You're not ready to let it go. You have to not have that in you anymore, because your intention is to heal and release and be better, no matter what the cost, right? So sometimes when you're burning your papers, if your intention is really strong, they'll burn quick. And if your intention is strong, but, the negativity is like, oh, come on, you want to keep us. Get that lighter, get that match. Oh, hell no, I'm burning you. I am releasing you. My intention is to get rid of you because you're not going to bother me anymore. That's how you do it. You want to make sure you let it go. Because if you don't let it go, again, it's going to keep coming back at you. You want to make sure that you're letting go of all of it. Same thing happens with the new moon. You have the same ceremonial things, but in the new moon, you have a special notebook specifically for manifestation ceremonies, your intentions. You want to write only your intentions in this. So it has to be brand new. It can't be a book that a notebook you've had there that you tear papers out to write your grocery list. It can't be a notebook that you doodle in. It can't be a notebook that you bought and lent somebody and one of the kids got some sheets out of it and colored in it and you got it back. No, it has to be a brand new. It doesn't have to be expensive. It could be from the dollar store, but it has to be yours and only for these intentions. Then you want to make like a consecration ceremony. And you need a pen. For both ceremonies, you need a pen. So again, clear your space. You have your notebook. When you consecrate your notebook, you want to just put in there that you specifically are going to use this brand new journal to put only your manifestation intentions in it. You dedicate this to manifesting all your dreams with the new moon. You dedicate this carefully and with intention. And again, I always write the date and the zodiac that the new moon is in. And you have to start with I am, I have, I feel. Just as if you already have it, whatever you're manifesting. I know it seems kind of weird, but it works. I am this. I have this. I feel this. I am successful. And again, be specific. I am successful in buying this car, this 68 antique Chevy. Or I am getting a raise, or I am in the best health that I've ever been. Doesn't mean you can't take action. You have to take action on these things too. But you're manifesting those. Again, you have to take action in your opening doors. Spirit's going to move you in the direction for your highest good. And let's say you ask for something and they don't give it to you. It's not because you weren't good enough. It's because you think like this. And Spirit thinks like this. I tell people that all the time. We go through so many things in our life where people hurt us and mistreated us that we think that we're, that's all we deserve. And that's not the truth. Again, you have to rewrite your own story. I wish that I could give you more guidance than this, but in the 15 months that it's helped me. It's what I can do as an example. Before I go on, I almost forgot. When you're done writing your new moon manifestation, you end it with, and so it is, and you put it away. You don't look at it again. You don't read it during the month. The only time you want to read it is when the new moon comes again and you're reading it again. And then you write down your manifestations for the new moon again. I've done this and then you put it away. Again, like I said, don't read it. Don't put it where the kids can get it. Put it where you know where it is and it's safe because it's specifically for you. I never planned on being an oracle card reader or a healer or to even do this podcast. But as I was manifesting, Spirit was telling me, we have plans for you that you don't have any idea about. Because we think like this. All I thought about was, I'm taking an oracle card class and I'm going to be good. Then I found out they wanted me to be a healer. Well, again, like I said, this is what I wanted to do. So I'm living my best life. I want to thank you for being with me for this hour. It's important that you live your best life. I'm Valerie with Love and Light with Crystal Blue Oracle, healing as a tribe and taking responsibility for it. And I'll see you next month or next 2 weeks from now, where I'll be talking about the awakening, what it is and why it is. Have a good day.